Up next, we'll stay with the Skype theme. And joining us from the East Coast in New Jersey, Marc Brown, the head coach of New Jersey City, will join us to talk about the Gothic Knights. Do they feel they need a win to get in? Or do they feel they can maybe risk it? I don't want to say risk it, but they can, as a top seed, afford the NJAC craziness. Because it is crazy in the NJAC. I have a feeling I know where this answer is going, but we'll find out officially when we come back. You're listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com from the WBCA and ABC studios. We'll be back with more right after this. All right, so men's basketball, one of the conferences we've been talking about all season is the NJAC. It's always been competitive. It's always been fun. But what's great about the NJAC the last few years is that the competitiveness and the skill have all risen. Remember, Ramapo finally broke through whatever jinx we've been talking about in the conference by getting all the way to the championship weekend before being unceremoniously punted in the semifinals. You could argue maybe the jinx still existed with NJCU, but let's forget that because at least the conference seems to be right back in what, I wouldn't say back where they were in the 90s, but they're on their way to returning into the top of the conversation again. Speaking of NJCU, they've had a lot of expectations this season. They are on top of the conference, though it hasn't been easy. 4 losses in conference along the way is anything but easy. What does it all mean? Well, that's why we have this show. Joining us to talk about these topics is the head coach of the Gothic Knights. Joins us on the Blue Frame Technology Hoopsville hotline via Skype. It's Marc Brown. And, Coach, first and foremost, congratulations on at least finishing on top of the heap because to some degree that means a lot.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, it's been a rough season, a lot of ups and downs. We've had some injuries. We've had some situations that we really we didn't expect this year. I've had to change my lineup a bunch of different times. So to win the regular season title in NJAC is a big deal, and we're proud of that accomplishment.
Let's go back to the end of last season. Because I think a lot of questions start there. You guys were a really strong team, obviously playing well, but you end up losing 3 straight at the end and 4 of your last 6, including Stockton to wrap up the season, and then William Patterson in the conference tournament, and then Union tripped you up in Plattsburgh in the first round of the tournament. I know for a fact that's not how you guys wanted to finish the season, but it felt like you guys just kind of came unglued to some degree. Was that accurate, and was any of that help and motivation moving into this season and to this point?
Yeah, really accurate. There's no other way to say it. we fell apart at the end. One of our goals each year is to have a 20-win season, and as you know, in a Division III basketball season, which is really consists of 25 regular season games, that's a pretty big deal. And maybe I put too much pressure on the guys talking about having that 20-win season, but we really fell apart at the end. The goal and the conversation this season was consistently and constantly talking about finishing strong. And, we lost the game last week to a really good, obviously, Ramapo team, but we've been playing much better towards the end of the year this year.
These losses this season have been sprinkled. They haven't come in bunches necessarily. Lost your first game out of the gate to Stevens, and we'll get to some of this in a minute. William Patterson had your number. They tripped you up at the end of November. Then you lost to Montclair, who came surging into the conversation this season, again, at their place. You had a thriller of a game against Worcester. Unfortunately, you ran into them after they had just gone through 3 straight losses. They were in a mood to prove that doesn't happen, so that might be bad timing. You lost at Rowan, and you lost at Ramapo. If you haven't sensed the trend, and I'm sure you have, all those losses on the road, so at least you've held firm at home. But most likely, if you continue playing, you're going to have to go on the road. Why has the road been so challenging?
You know what? It's on the road for some reason we can't put 2 halves together. That's been the issue. Each of those losses, we played one great half. Unfortunately, it was either we dug ourselves into a hole in the first half, or we didn't communicate and didn't do what we needed to do in the second half. So we're just trying to stay consistent. We have some new guys. We have a veteran team, but I have some new guys that have become some key guys pretty quickly. And we're, consistency. That's the word we're trying to preach to these guys. Just play consistent, and we wanted to be playing well this time of the year. And so far, that's what's happened. So we're looking forward to Tuesday.
What was interesting was the recognition that your program got in the last couple of years, especially with Sam Toney and his story. seemed to turn you guys into a magnet. You got a bunch of players who from other programs said, you know what? No, I want to play there. I want to play with Marc Brown. I want to play with Sam Toney. Or you got players who at a higher division said, no, this isn't for me, and this is where I want to go. Mark, the problem I saw with that I think I've seen a little bit too is you then had to get everybody to gel. You had to take a starting five and blow it up, as you said, even throughout the season with injuries or whatever, and find where everybody could find a part, and people had to maybe check their egos at the door. Is that still happening, or is this team finally settled in to what it's comfortable with that you feel confident going into a week like this?
We finally settled in. You're exactly right, Dave. It's been a lot of mixing and matching. I've already told Sam Toney, I'm going to have to use him as my main recruiter as soon as his basketball career is over, because you're absolutely right. Some guys I have probably 2 players on my team that have, joined us in the past year just because of Sam. So it's been great. The guys, it did take some time to come together. We won some games where we really didn't play well, but we still stayed together and were able to finish off a couple of teams. But like I said, the key is for us to be playing well now at this time of year. We had a great practice today. Looking forward to practice tomorrow, and we're really looking forward to the semifinal matchup Tuesday at home.
Not to look too far ahead, you've got 6 seniors on this team, but Sam Toney's a junior, and some of those other guys that are key to this team are juniors or underclassmen as well. So it's kind of a mixed bag. I'm assuming there's pressure to get it done because you got 6 seniors. You want to take advantage of that like Ramapo did last year, but at the same time, you still have a heck of a core coming back.
Right.
Where do you check that in mentally? I know it's all about the here and now, but can you afford yourself to go, listen, we're still building to some degree?
Not really. We're kind of on a mission to get this NJAC championship this year. 2 years ago, we had a golden opportunity at Ramapo. Great team. They won on a buzzer beater. Thank God Thomas Bonnicum graduated. I've
heard that from a lot of people.
Yeah. And then last year was just, like you said earlier, we weren't playing well at the end of the year. Coach Chapman did a great job in preparing William Patterson, and they came in and upset us on our home floor. I got a group of seniors that are really starving for a championship. As freshmen, they won an ECAC Metro Championship, and they're looking for that NJAC title. They know this is their last chance. So that's what the mission is now. We're hungry for a title. I haven't won a title now, a conference title, since 2010-11. So I'm excited to be in this position where we're hosting at home. But right now, we're just worried about trying to get past the tough Ramapo team, who's playing really well right now.
Your 2 leading scorers, Toney and Banks, are junior sophomores respectively, and then Green and Richardson are 2 seniors. So we kind of have that yin and yang to some degree. Yeah, you're on top of the conference, and that obviously means a lot because you can play at home. And furthermore, you don't have to play at Ramapo, which, if memory serves, has lost 1 time in 4 years, I think, on their home floor. And that doesn't count their other home floor in Vegas. They haven't been as successful there. If you guys want to take the conference tournament there, we can. But it is coming to your place. We just said earlier how you do well at home. That's got to be an advantage. But how do you keep the home distractions from affecting the guys, or the home advantage from having them back off slightly, unintentionally?
Yeah. No. Well, we'd rather be home. That's what it really boils down to. There are pressures to us playing at home. There are pressures to us being the #1 seed, but we'd rather have it this way than the other way. So we played well at home this year. We've been undefeated at home this year in the conference, non-conference games. Had some pretty tough games, and we were able to pull them out. So we're just kind of looking forward to this week. This is a big week for the program. We have a new athletic director who's now in charge. He's excited. He's brought a different kind of energy to the program. So we're really excited about the week. We're expecting to have our crowd really fill the gym. I think students around campus are excited, and looking forward to 48 hours from now.
I'm a little curious for the NJAC evolution and the Ramapo effect, let's call it. We'll start with the evolution. Again, it's always been competitive. That's always been the excuse, rightly or wrongly, about why teams lose and struggle and all that. But the competitiveness has also risen because, again, Rowan, Montclair State, Ramapo, who recovered after having lost almost the entire core of that team, They certainly surprised us in Vegas. William Patterson. That core has risen too. So you've all gotten competitive or stayed competitive, but risen to better. I think I asked you this in the past. Was an influx of new coaches helpful in maybe changing how all of you recruit and all of you kind of prepare, because they don't have the same mentality of going for the same guys that, the Chuck McBreens and whoever Jose Rabimboses of the former world used to recruit. Has that all changed because of different coaching, or have you guys all figured out how to evolve?
I think it's a combination of both. It's a great question too. You make some great points. Obviously, different coaches have different preferences when you talk about recruiting. So I think there's kind of a youth movement now in our league. Also, we have some young coaches that are doing things a little differently. I don't want to make myself sound old, but I'm one of the older guys now, and I'm one of the veterans. I'm going, this is my 12th season in the league. When I took over from my dad in 2007, it's going really fast. So I think it's a combination of both. Another thing, David, you're always going to get good players in this area because, obviously, geographically, New Jersey is the most densely populated state. My school is in northern Jersey. There's some great high school basketball here. And, everybody's not a Division I, II guy. There's some really good players at this level. So I think it's a combination of both. But it's been interesting. It's been really interesting. It's challenging. As a coach, if you're not prepared, if you're not well organized, if you don't have a good assistant coaching staff, you're not going to do well in this league. And that's really what it boils down to. Chuck McBreen and I talk all the time about how we beat each other up during the season. And, what I try to do, and I notice what other coaches are doing now also, because this has helped us get at large bids. I also play a tough non-conference schedule.
Yes.
We're not scared of the Christopher Newports and the Worcesters and, classy places and just a lot of history. We really had a good time. I think we performed well at Worcester this year. So it's just a lot of fun, man. I always say this. I tip my hat off to you guys for how you really promote Division III basketball. It really is in a good place right now.
It is. I agree with you. The Ramapo effect. So they're finally a new team to get to the Final Four. We've joked a little bit about, nobody else except for Stockton had gotten to the Final Four this century. Ramapo made a wonderful run to the championship weekend last weekend. That can certainly buoy the rest of the conference. That can certainly say to the rest of you, we can do this too, and that whole concern about first weekend losses can be put aside. That said, does it also put now a huge target or a huge expectation on all of your shoulders? Not necessarily to match what Ramapo did last weekend, but to prove, this is a good conference, and we still need to prove that because Ramapo's gone out there and broken through.
Right. Well, I think every year you want to show that your conference is one of the elite conferences. Our goal now was to just get into the tournament. We're trying to get out of this conference as champions. That's really what the goal is now. But I wouldn't say it's added pressure. I think people that really know and understand Division III basketball, they know how good the NJAC has been, how good it is, and they know the history. Just so happened that Ramapo last year did a great job of getting this, and that's after a couple of years of not getting as far as I feel they should have gone. So they put it together. Obviously, there's some luck involved. He had a veteran-laden team, and they really performed well. And like you touched on earlier, it was unbelievable the job Chuck did this year, losing basically his whole team, and is basically first guy off the bench. And to be in the position they're in now, it just shows you that the quality of coaching we have here.
There's a lot of questions I could ask, but we obviously don't have a ton of time. But I do want to ask about the rankings and getting in at this point. You sit atop the Atlantic rankings, which at this point, who knows what next rankings will look like. You guys went 1-1, and you may slip. But that being said, it's a bunch of NJAC schools. Ironically, not on the women's side, but on the men's side, it is full of NJAC schools, all five in the top five. Do you feel okay, because of the strength of schedule and all these other things, that if you don't win the conference tournament, you can still get in? Or do you look back at years past and see no selections out of the Atlantic and remind yourself, it don't matter, we're number one?
Haven't really thought about it. And it's funny you saying that because director of marketing, Ira Thor, was talking about
Oh,
this the other day.
don't give him a title raise. Stop it.
Yeah, this year is one of those years where it's a little different. I think the Atlantic region is a little down, but I think not to take the top, not to give a serious consideration to the 1 and 2 ranked teams in the Atlantic region. I think would be a mistake. But like I said, our goal is to not even have to worry about that. We're going for this NJAC title. We're kind of pushing forward with everything, trying to win an NJAC title. Like I said, we reached our first goal, which is to win the regular season title. The second goal was 20 wins. The third goal is the NJAC championship. So that's what we're striving for.
You have an easy motivation because the team you just lost to is the team you're playing in Ramapo. But what's the message to the team in the locker room this week?
Obviously a loss now would be catastrophic. We worked so hard to get this number 1 seed in the conference tournament, and let's take advantage of it. That's really what the message is. Ramapo played great last week. We came out a little flat. It was their senior night. Their guys played well. They played well the other night, Saturday, against William Patterson. They have a couple of guys that are really playing well, Rob Lewis and a couple of other seniors playing really well. And, we're just kind of trying to hold down the fort at home and looking forward to this game Tuesday.
Well, Coach, I appreciate the time as always. Great to chat with you, especially via Skype. I know you have a lot of Brazilian roots, so I will say officially, obrigado. I appreciate the time. I love the Portuguese language. As tradition, as you know, we give the word to the guest, the final word. Any final thoughts you want to share with those who may be tuning in?
Keep your eye on NJCU. We're going to try to do something special this next week, and hopefully you'll be seeing us in the tournament. And if you don't see it, it won't be from lack of trying.
Well, that's always a good thing. I do hope we're talking about you guys in a week's time. In the meantime, enjoy the home side of this with no travel. That's nice. And I look forward to talking to you down the road.
All right. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Have a good night.
You do the same. Marc Brown joining us here on the Blue Frame Technologies Skype hotline. We appreciate him taking the time to do so. Again, team is 19-6, but if you look at those 6 losses, it's a mix of really good teams. They are in control of the NJAC. They're on top. They play Ramapo, though. Tough squad. It's not going to be easy this week. Keep an eye on the NJAC and NJCU.